Other thing, we're good. We're hot all around. We're red. Fire. All right, we're back with another episode, but first, the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. I want to thank Gallo Technologies, Rhino Metals, Blackwater Ammunition, Right On Optics, Volquartsen Firearms. I want to thank Scott Volquartsen for that last episode. Am I missing anybody? Galco Leather Holsters. Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. I appreciate all of them. Special thanks. Got a special episode today. I'm really happy to be having these young little Thundercats in here. This is going to be good. No, really. Be serious for a second.
Okay.
Keep it real. We have Kolby Pavlock and Cheyenne Dalton. Listen, this is a big deal. I'm excited to have you both.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, wow. Speaking for the group, thanks for having us.
Yep.
Listen, I'm excited. I go way back, what I consider way back in this business with both of you. At least, I don't know, Kolby, what, 5-6 years with you? At least that now. And probably about at least 4 or 5 with Cheyenne. I've known you both since you were whippersnappers. And now, you're the future. I got my first question for both of you. I'm going to give it to Cheyenne first. SHOT Show, does it happen or not?
I don't see how it could happen this year, personally, especially with all the rules that they want to enforce.
You heard it here first. Breaking news.
Honestly, it just kind of seems pointless because they don't want people in the booths. They don't want,
it's too restrictive.
Yeah, exactly.
Kolby, does SHOT Show happen or does it not?
It's probably not going to happen. Like Cheyenne said, with all the restrictions that they're wanting to put in place. Obviously, we want people in our booth checking out guns and what we have to offer, and with the restrictions, that's not going to be possible.
I thought I heard. Hold that thought, John. I thought I heard the governor was going to lift it to half capacity.
It's still not enough.
Still not enough.
Yeah, it's still not enough. Not for that show. No. Not for that show. Do you care?
I've been to a SHOT Show a couple times, and the first one's pretty cool to witness and be there. But honestly, it's
okay to say no.
I don't think it. I wouldn't mind not going again.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with COVID, we started doing Zoom meetings and stuff. I definitely see doing it that way from now on.
COVID. Now, I appreciate both of your honest answers. I don't think SHOT's completely necessary this year, and I think if you can't do it right, don't do it. That's the way I see it, and I think that's a simple answer. I ask you both that because, you guys have been to a few shows. You've seen it. You've seen the interaction. I think if you can't do it right and you can't do it on that level, it's really not worth doing. But it leads to the next thing, which with everything that's gone on in the shooting world and not being able to do shows and COVID and the run on guns, is it kind of wild to you guys? I mean, how do you've not lived through something like this other than Sandy Hook, which I know you were both young when that went down. Is this kind of a wild time for you? Scared? I mean, Cheyenne, you go first. I mean, was it weird for you?
I'm not really scared. It's more annoying for me. I mean, I understand lots of people have their own problems, obviously. But it's just kind of been a hard time for me, I guess, because I'm trying to go to school, trying to finish school, just trying to, kind of get my adult life started. And it's just kind of set me back quite a bit.
You feel like it's a setback?
Well, it's probably not in the long run, but it feels like it to me right now.
I can see how it would feel that way. I think it's an adjustment. There's no doubt. I don't like the term setback because I feel like setbacks create opportunities because you get to see the field a little bit bigger. I think it can create opportunity. I think COVID's forced a lot of examination of how we do things. And I think that can be exciting. It's the turn that sucks.
Yeah, true.
It's going through that. What do you think?
I mean, I graduated college this year, so I graduated right as this whole COVID thing started, so it was kind of weird to finish school online, especially doing the machining stuff online is difficult, but I ended up moving out to Iowa and started working for Volquartsen the end of May, so I guess that was one good thing that came out of COVID. I found a job that I really enjoy, but other than that, it's kind of been strange going through this whole time period, I guess, or this whole COVID thing. Just wearing masks is kind of stupid and pointless.
Right.
But we live and learn, and hopefully we can get through this.
It's an interesting time. There's no doubt. I mean, it's like I said. I mean, the hope is that it creates some opportunity when things turn, and it forces people to examine things differently and look at things differently, and that's always the hope. Now, the reality is SHOT Show and certain things that don't happen, or a shift, or things that take place. So how or what, or what does that all look like, right? So we're constantly examining like what the new universe looks like and what the new normal is, and that's what makes it difficult. Like there's that uncertainty, right? Like what's Thanksgiving gonna look like? What's Christmas gonna look like? Like everybody's trying to like control everything that we do. It's a scary time, and I'm not at the phase where I can be like some of the older generation, like I'll be dead, so fuck it, like who cares? You guys are young, that you're gonna have to find new ways to like live through this and examine this and be able to live life. And for the gun industry and for the firearms business, I think it creates a lot of opportunity, which is what we talked about earlier. And I think in a perfect world, the question I would love to hear from you guys is, what do you want to see change the most in the gun industry in the short run of all this? What do you want to see happen? I'll go to you first, Kolby.
Oh boy. I think with this, I think it gives us an opportunity to branch out instead of doing just trade shows, to get out there. I think opening it up and doing, more dealer events and getting out there, instead of having just SHOT Show or NRA Show being our go-to
That's
shows.
it, yeah.
We need to get out there and venture out to different ways of, showing our brand and showing what our company's about.
And it allows you to control it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Which was what we talked about, getting to the end users and being able to do more dynamic stuff. And it's when it's you out there, it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cheyenne? What do you want to see in the short run?
Right. So not only like kind of building off of what Kolby said, and not only doing more like personal events for dealers, but also pushing like the online presence of the gun world, I guess, working on their marketing, learning new ways to create content and everything, which we've been talking about quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be really, like being able to advance in this industry would be a good thing.
Content's evolved tremendously, and I know you guys being younger, this is a good thing to get into. You guys consume content at a ridiculous rate. You're constantly on your phones. You're constantly pouring through content. I want to ask you guys this, and this is something a lot of listeners would be interested in hearing. How far behind, and I want to ask you first, Cheyenne, how far behind do you think the gun industry is relative to what else is out there?
So far.
And what's like if you could wave a wand, what's the number one thing you would love to get through the thick skulls of marketing directors out there in the universe?
Well, okay, so since I'm younger, and I get on TikTok and stuff, and I see all the trendy things that people are doing. Well, the gun industry to me is obviously based around older people, which, I mean, they're the ones that have the money and stuff, but they're, like, everything is marketed towards them, and I feel like for people our age, maybe, there's not a whole lot out there for us.
Not a lot of consumable content. What do you think, Kolby?
I can agree with Cheyenne on that. I feel like it's marketed towards the adults. That's really what it is.
The yellow jacket crowd.
Yeah, but the younger generation, I feel like, is going to be a new generation that's going to really explode with this with stuff. And so I think marketing more towards the younger people, younger generation, especially during whatever we got going on, I think is a big thing.
You guys know my opinions. I think the staleness of a lot of the marketing departments in terms of not looking out of the box, like, you look, all the bones are there, right? Like you have people that spend their whole day on Twitch and on different platforms that cater to that cosplay video game market. Those are huge areas that the gun industry just doesn't exploit for one reason or another. And I think a lot of it has to do it, and I want to get your thoughts on it, being younger shooters and influencers in the community. I think a lot of it has to do with just you go into these marketing rooms and you sit down and you talk to these people, and they're 90 and their thought process is 90 years old, and they don't even, I'm not bagging on them. It's just that they don't want to even listen to it. It's a struggle to get them, like, Cheyenne, you say TikTok to them. That's, like I said, that's a far off land. That's like, that might as well be Egypt. Like, it's like, whoa, what are we talking about? The pyramids here.
I will say, like with the TikTok thing, it's really hard to get like gun content out there and to push it and to get it to like blow up because they really censor it. So that is an issue.
It might not be the ideal platform.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. But I just think it's like even opening up the conversation sometimes is like the struggle. Like you're in there and you'll talk about, like, for years I would talk about streaming and I would talk about these other areas and they'd look at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, you guys are out of your mind. They don't understand how far along and how fast media moves. And that's the struggle, is to explain to them, you don't understand. Right now, somewhere, there's a kid opening presents making $18 million a year on YouTube. Like, they're just so far behind and archaic in their thought process. We go to shows, we see them all the time. There's very little effort to stream, to put content onto these platforms, and a lot of it has to do with the holdup. A lot of it has to do with maybe not understanding. Maybe it's not willingness to understand. I mean, when you guys are out there and you talk to companies, tell me what you see. I mean, what do you see, Cheyenne, when you're talking to sitting down with them? And I mean, is it just are they old? What is it?
I mean, okay, just because you're older, you can still do whatever you want. Like, I still think you can learn anything. Like, if you want to learn a new platform, great. But I think really the problem is they think that their way is the only way. You can't do it anywhere else, so they don't want to learn, I guess.
Kolby?
I feel like we've been stuck in, like we've talked about it before, we've been stuck in the same way we do things in the gun industry for the past 10 years or whatever. I think, exploring new things and telling like that they've been doing it for 10 years, maybe try doing something different and branch out. You can't learn things without exploring first.
I ask you guys this, and I want to keep prying into it because you're the future, and I try to get to some level of understanding, like, where you see it going and how to fix it. I mean, Cheyenne, if you were to fix it, what's the fix?
I mean, I think for the most part, almost like a complete override of the way that everyone thinks. If
how?
we were to, well, I mean, either they would have to change their thinking or you have to replace them.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are pretty much your only two options.
In a perfect world, you'd love to change everybody's thinking, right? I think that's like the perfect world scenario. And that's what sometimes this podcast represents, is people got to shift their thought process a little bit and kind of just say, wait a minute, like, what are we looking at here? Now, it's not that anybody wants to see anyone get fired or run out of a job or anything like that, but I think the answer's in you guys and the younger people and getting them out there and more involved and just listening goes so far, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just being willing to listen. Like, when you get a newsletter from a company, I know the answer. There's like no desire to open that.
No.
Yeah.
There's no dynamicness to it.
Well, and I also feel like people our age, there's just not many people our age involved because everything is marketed towards an older crowd, so they're just not interested in it. So I don't feel like there are as many younger people maybe to take their places.
And to me, that's the easiest fix, because I take somebody like you, I sit you in a room and I say, play Twitch for an hour and promote the brand.
Sure.
So to me, like, that's the dumbest roadblock for the brands, because we've seen success in pockets with people like Alex Zedra that do that, and it comes back to what you said earlier. It's just an unwillingness to kind of understand. Like, to me, when I look at it, a lot of these are easy fixes. It's getting them to think like that.
Yeah.
And if you could create and construct a perfect marketing department, it's not hard to do, and everybody can do it from their kitchen with a cell phone.
Yeah.
Right.
And that should be frustrating. That should be frustrating to you. It should be frustrating in general to a lot of people out there, because they're not hard. Like, I've sat there and I've said to people, like for example, putting potential content on YouTube, right? And how to stream it onto YouTube. You could do that with a cell phone.
Yeah.
Do you know how many brands don't really understand that you can literally set up a cell phone on a tripod and stream something right on thing? But you say it to them and it's like, whoa, my mind is blown.
Yeah.
And you have to think beyond Instagram.
Yeah.
I feel, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on it, that we've spent so much time as a group collectively convincing the industry that Instagram was viable. Then we did. And now Instagram, that's all you hear from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting them to think out of those boxes of YouTube and everything else is hard too. It's like getting them to have the conversation about other areas to go into. If you could push on a company to go into one area, what would it be?
I honestly, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different media platforms out there. It's just,
I mean, obviously, I think YouTube has the biggest chance to make the most money from it, possibly.
I think YouTube has a broader people that view it. I mean, you got young
like
people, old people, pretty much everyone watches YouTube.
And I feel like with YouTube, like I do it all the time. I'll stumble kind of down a rabbit trail of videos.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's, good opportunity for them to like randomly stumble across like your whatever video, whatever it is.
You just go down a YouTube's an endless rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You get lost in it for days. It's important insight, and it's a good conversation to have with you guys. And I think you both represent just, the future of the industry, and what's going to be consumed is the number one thing, because you're consuming it now.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm talking about all this stuff is I'm trying to get people that are listening right now to understand, and I know executives and some VPs and senior VPs will be listening to this, to get them to understand what you're watching. And I try to explain to them, you're exactly right, like the older crowd, the gold jacket crowd. Giving away a pouch and a hat isn't the way to go.
No.
But you see brands and companies pound that and pound that and pound that. And they don't understand that your generation responds very well to subtle marketing, story selling marketing, casual marketing, entertainment marketing. Why do you think they keep coming back to the product? It's always about the baby. And does it annoy you?
I mean, yeah, it annoys me because, you see a bunch of people, well, I got this free muzzle brake, I got this free hat, I think
it's the greatest muzzle brake ever.
Yeah, it's the greatest. Everyone can make a muzzle brake. It's like AR-15s. There's so many different versions of an AR-15.
But this one's 0.3 lighter.
Well, there's people that are about the spec, the whole, this weighs this.
Got to do a spec sheet, yeah.
You got to do a spec sheet, but I feel like the whole product thing is so they can, I guess, see how it feels, whatever. But I think doing like the internet stuff, it opens up that whole variety of people to get it to, instead of just be like, oh, this guy does reviews on this, or this guy's doing this for us to make. I don't know. It's a tough
why are they
thing.
obsessed with it? I mean, you're in building with Scott, so I know it's he's more forward thinking and dynamic, so he's not. It's what I try to get to is, what is the obsession with the spec sheet selling? We go to booths to Chacha, we see it all the time.
Yeah,
but you don't understand. This holds 11 rounds.
Yeah, I personally don't care about spec sheets. That's just me. Like Kolby's more, on the tech side of things, so he might care more about that. I just care about really how like a gun feels, or like how it shoots, things like that.
Yeah.
We all can agree it matters at a level.
Yeah.
It's just that's a very micro, small level of the market that cares about that. By and large, we know how it goes because everybody's called us in the past about buying a gun. What happens? You go in and you either buy a Glock or a SIG or whatever, a handgun. You buy what fits your hand right. You buy what you feel, you got a recommendation on, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel maybe like, trying to push the like spec sheet marketing thing, like to new gun owners, they probably don't know like what any of that is.
Yeah.
Chinese.
Yeah.
I just try to get in, like, I know how your brains work because I'm a bridge between the old and you guys. And I know how your brains work. And I understand it. And I get it. And I'm always stuck pounding the table saying, but you guys don't understand. Casual marketing, entertainment-based marketing, developing a brand story and a narrative is going to go far further than anything. Everybody bought Nikes because Michael Jordan wore them.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have told you the rubber they used. I don't have a fucking clue. I thought I'd jump higher, but that was what Michael told me. I believed I could fly, but that was what Michael told me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this industry, there's that obsession with, we got to do the spec sheet. We got to do the spec sheet. We got to do the spec sheet. But then they do the spec sheet and they run out of content. And when you go out there on social media, there's just a lack of dynamic people out there doing everything is shoot fast, which I know you can relate to, Kolby, a drill video.
Yeah.
And there's a place for that.
Yeah, it really is.
There's a place for it. I'm not saying there isn't. But the question becomes is like, what else is there? If that's all that person is, if all you could do is dunk a basketball, then that's all you are.
Right.
And your story runs cold. And is that how you want to be remembered?
No.
It's a great question. I mean, it's just, so what I try to get at with you guys is what's going to appeal to you, what's going to sell you, what does your generation look at, what helps you make the decision to reach in your pocket and spend money. It doesn't have to be about a gun. So like Cheyenne, when you're taking your hard-earned money out of your pocket, what sells you?
I personally like to, whatever the product is, like hear success stories, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's a good selling point
Testimony.
to me. Yeah, just because, I don't have a ton of money, so if I'm going to buy something, I want to make sure, like, oh, it's really going to work for me and do what they say it's going to do. So that's something I like.
So testimony is number one.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, what's the consumable? Where do you feel you're buying the most from? What consumed media environment? Is it like Instagram? You see it on Instagram, or do you see it on YouTube, or like where do you go? Like, I know for me, if I see it on IG and I like it, I might research it on YouTube. That's immediately where I go next, and I'm like, let me see.
Yeah.
I tend to not look at like the review stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to like it. Look at the company video of the product. That's why I'm a big believer. You got to have the company SKU videos. I'll look at what they say, but then from there, I'll look at the ease of use, especially if it's something technical.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to set it up. How easy is this to set up? I kind of like to understand that. And then I'll make a decision to buy based on the value that I think that product's going to return to me.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. When you're shopping around, Kolby, what platform do you feel like? I know some people, they scroll through Instagram, they'll never buy anything on Instagram.
Yeah.
But what platform do you find yourself being like, wow, I want to buy that?
Mainly Instagram. I mean, Facebook a little bit, but Instagram, it's weird how it works. It's like they know what I'm looking for.
They're listening.
They are listening, and so it's like I'm thinking about going fishing this weekend, and for some reason fishing stuff pulls up on Instagram, and I decide, hey, I want to check this out. If it's something that I find interesting, I like to try things out first before I buy it. Make sure it's something that I like.
How do you do that?
I mean, with fishing, shooting, going to like outdoor stores, seeing if they have it.
Oh, fiddle fucking it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm one of those kind of guys.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But if I'm going to spend enough money on something, I'd like to play with it, to, get people that I trust if they've messed with it before, see
I
how
get
they
that.
like that.
I guess I didn't think of that. I don't go in stores much anymore because I don't like people.
Well,
So I don't find myself in stores that much anymore.
yeah.
I just hate dealing with people. I don't even go in stores for my groceries. I just go to Amazon now.
We don't have that where we live.
Yeah.
Frat, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, must be nice.
It'll change your life. Someday we all can wish. We'll hope. It's crazy. So, we talk about marketing. We talk about all that stuff. It's fun to peel into that and understand what makes us buy, what makes us spend our money. When I think about it, it's terrifying. Those are the things I buy. What gets suggested to us, which is what you brought up. And it makes me think about the firearms business, and it makes me think about the business we're in. And we're so far behind that we haven't even begun to develop the SEO in those areas, even remotely, to where those things pop up or those things are being generated to us, or even remotely talking to us. And I think that that's one of the biggest failures. I think, this industry could benefit a lot from the opinions of you younger shooters and the shooters around the industry. And I just wish that they would listen. And I wish at times, you guys would have that open platform to say, hey, we need to look at doing it this way, or we need to look at doing it that way, and understand what that looks like. There's hope that may happen. I don't know, or if how, but it's encouraging when I see like you working for Scott, for Volquartsen. And it's encouraging when I see you trying to find your way and figure out what the next thing is for you. But I think the industry does us all a huge disservice because they're not listening to what the end user think. And then the worst thing happens is COVID hits, so everything sells.
Right.
Yeah.
So now everybody's a marketing genius, right? But we have a golden opportunity with this happening and maybe SHOT Show not happening, which is the next thing. Because if the show doesn't happen, then it frees up a lot of money in a lot of marketing departments to do a lot of fun, dynamic stuff and what that looks like. We'll see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I agree with you, Kolby. I think doing some more of those direct-to-consumer type events is really the way to go, because you have a stud crew, and I think putting them out there and letting them do the selling, letting them do the talking is what's going to win. But it's like a bear shit in the woods. If you don't have a video or a photo of it, it didn't happen. So you have to create it like a media event. Everything has to be, you know, it's why I used to walk around the shows with a camera person. If you don't have that, it never happened.
Right.
So you have to start to think like that.
Yeah.
And think dynamically. But I think a lot of these fixes are easy and visible. Why they don't do them or why they don't execute on them, I won't understand. But I think it's a function of dealing with owners that are engineers, that have that engineer mindset, that overthink things.
Yeah.
It's crazy. How we fix it, I don't know. You know, 5 years from now, what the industry will look like, we all can hope, right? And what it'll change into. What do you want to see it look like is the $1 million question.
It's hard to tell or have an idea.
I feel like that's a very complex question because I feel like there's lots of components that go into that.
Tons.
Yeah.
But if you could,
I guess just like overall have a more like modern stance on marketing and just maybe their whole business, like how the business is run. Because I feel like with gun businesses, they're just kind of run like how the old guys did it, you know, like how they did it back in the day. And there's just nothing really changing with that.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I agree with Cheyenne on that. But I think we get a bad rep with media, with the whole gun industry. So I think it makes it hard in that sense to really grow out of what we've been doing, for the past 10 years or whatever. But I think we just get a bad rep from from different sides. So it's hard to really, branch out and try something new because we're afraid of it's going to, make a bigger impact on the gun industry than what we were really wanting.
We're going to hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah. That's really what, in this day and age, hurting feelings it's a big thing, I guess.
Well, there's been obviously a push towards radical political correctness, which I talk about. And we're in the most not politically correct business in so many ways.
Yeah.
Because it's been made that way. But I try to explain to people, you have to be willing to at least have the conversation now. That's what we're doing here. But what that 5 years from now, 10 years from now looks like, Cheyenne brought up modernized. I can picture the gun business, if it was smart, pivoting into, like, everybody wants to see the uncommon, right? So the common is seeing the gun go bang.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gun goes bang. But who is Cheyenne? Who is Kolby? What are you guys about? Who is Michelle Viscuzzi? Who is Max Michelle? Learning and understanding those people is what makes you love them. If I was to ask you all the reasons you love a hero that you've had, it might involve 15 things that they do that's not on the field necessarily or in their field of work or what you love about them. It's the unseen that people fall in love with, and that's how you endear yourself. That's how you become a character. That's how you become a something that lives on beyond just going bang, because anybody can do that.
Yeah.
How we get there, I don't know. But as soon as marketing departments figure out, more people are willing to reach in their pocket and spend, especially your generation, if they feel like they're not being sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I find it annoying when someone's just like pushing a product on you, even online.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And how we get it there is a lot of steps. Like I said, I envision the future of somebody twitching, promoting the brand, maybe wearing the stuff, just doing an hour-long stream. I envision, streaming, paywalls. There's no better time than now to do a paywall with a company because those walls have totally been knocked down in terms of, OnlyFans and things out there that have made it like okay to spend $5-10. And really, it's not. I give OnlyFans too much credit. Really, it's the $9.99 we pay for WWE, or we pay for ESPN, or we pay for whatever. So that's kind of knocked that wall down. We're okay with buying like Netflix for $9.99.
Yeah.
That's the first hurdle. So now all cable, all streaming becomes a la carte. I don't necessarily think streaming is like this big, massive answer, but I think that getting more into video audio based yields a higher return for everybody involved, including the person wanting to create the content.
Yeah.
And that's where some of these companies fall flat on their head to understand that. They'll say like, but it has to be Kolby outside with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer. But do you really want to see that?
No.
No.
Cheyenne goes, no. I think yes, and I think there's something to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But once you do it once, it's like, how many times a week are you going to do that?
Yeah.
7 times, 10 times. I think there's more to you guys than that. And I think that's a failure of the industry, is like, let's just pound this and pound this and pound this. And I think brands should take a deeper loyalty in the ambassadors or influencers that they bring in and work closer with them, like you guys are trying to do, and develop them and develop themselves along the way to grow together and grow in a way that both sides win.
Yeah.
In every deal, it's the art of the deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both sides got to feel like they won. So you have to create that. If we were all, I said this before, does it bother you that if we were all playing baseball, we'd be millionaires? Especially you. It should.
Yeah.
And I think the sport could benefit a lot from unfucking itself, in plain English, fixing itself, getting the score on the screen,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
putting it behind a paywall, ad placement. These things are not crazy. We know. I know you both know. They're not crazy things.
No.
It's bananas. What brands, when you guys look out there, do you look at and you're like, I think they're doing it right, or they're going in the right direction? Cheyenne.
So for me, definitely on the top of the list is Vortex Optics. They've really started pushing their the lifestyle thing with their clothing, and I think they're doing a really great job, because I feel like they include older people and younger people with that. There's lots
Bridging
of
the
different,
gap.
Yeah, I think they do a great job.
Who else?
I
I want to see how thin it gets, how quick. Gets thin fast, but there are some.
Yeah, for sure. Kolby, do you have any that you can think of?
Besides Vortex, I think it's very limited, and it's hard to really narrow it down to be like, this company's really doing. Because it's hard.
I feel like some companies might do something good for like a couple
2
weeks.
steps forward, 1 back.
Right,
or
but
2
then
back, 3
it's
back.
just like nothing again.
Well, a lot of that has to do with it in the marketing departments, and I've been in enough of them to tell you both that they adopt an idea. I don't have to tell everybody in here producing the show this. They adopt an idea, they run with it, but they don't get a big enough sample.
Yeah.
They're not giving it time. They want it like now.
Yep.
And it doesn't work that way.
Right.
It has to flesh out over, I don't have to tell you all what it takes to grow an account or to develop a brand. It takes 18 months to 2 years before you even know what you have.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes time. And Vortex is one of the more dynamic departments. And they're willing to try things, which is insanely critical.
Yep.
Who out there gets it terribly wrong, but could be good? I'll put a silver lining in it, but could be good. They're close. Like they just, every time they step in it. I'll give you one. I'll pick on a brand. I think Colt could be an amazing brand in the gun industry. I think Jerry Mitchell brought them up too. Colt could be an amazing brand in the gun industry. I think they have all the bones to be a fun, awesome brand that we all would respect and bridge the old and the new. But they just get so stale so quick, right before our eyes almost.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could be a fun one. I'd love to see more dynamic work out of, it's easy for me to say like Ruger or some of those brands, but I'll pick a different one. I think, Vortex has done some awesome stuff. I think they're another one that's done some, not Vortex, Vertex has done some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're like right there to where they could really do some awesome next level type shit and be for bags. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And clothing, but I think bags and clothing have improved the most in our industry over the last 10 years. That's been the biggest leap. We don't have to look like idiots walking around anymore if we wear the clothes. But I think that there are some brands close. Vortex is one that definitely comes to mind, because they're not obsessed with the product, really.
Yeah.
It's about the lifestyle. If there was one industry you think the gun industry could benefit from taking a page from, what would it be?
I know we talked about it, but definitely like the fitness. I know a lot of the fitness has started to come into the shooting world, I guess, or whatever.
Got to be fit.
Yeah, I mean,
Train.
shooting competitively. I mean, you got to be fit to be competing at the top level.
Can't pass out.
No, or you got to be healthy to make it through the day at a match. I mean, there's no way.
Oh, you know, I don't have to tell you. I used to eat shit for promoting fitness in the gun industry, but I used to tell people, you don't understand how much people are training and how much people are eating right and how much people we were just talking about. Michelle Viscusi trains her ass off.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to train. Max trains his ass off. JJ trains his ass off. And I'm not talking about on the range.
Yeah.
Off the range. I mean, that was preposterous that people used to be like, oh, it's this, people are lifting weights. How dare they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of been overcome, but keep going.
But like with the shooting, like the competitive side, I think we definitely need to like branch out and do more, like you were saying, like live streaming and make it public, more public, so people can understand actually what the competition's actually about.
Right.
Because like we have, Shooting USA, they go to matches, they do it, and then it comes out like 5 months later from after the match. But I think doing like a live thing, like NFL, or football games or something like that.
And just being able to like expand these matches, because so many people, they ask me like, oh, what do you do? What's your hobby? I'm like, oh, I'm a competitive shooter. And they're like, what? Like they have no clue what I'm talking about.
I have the solution.
Tell us.
Solve the world's problems.
Let's hear it.
So here's the solution. I think if you boil off all the fat, forget about IDPA and IPSC because they're a lost cause. Okay? I think if you create like what NASCAR did, like the sprint for the cup.
Yeah.
You create like, if I was the NSSF or the NRA, I would go to a few companies. This is the year to do it because the money's there. You create prize money and you do 5 or 6 matches and the winner gets points and you call it the race for the cup, whatever, the NSSF cup and you create a couple categories. You're not going to be able to have them all. Maybe you have production, maybe you have whatever, carry optics, whatever you want to put in there. But let's say you pick 3 and you crown 3 champions. If you put the money up, people will show.
Yeah.
That's automatic. But if you do the production right,
yeah,
which is what you're getting at, the streaming, everything, then it's a simplified way to be able to say this is a champion, or this person is the winner, or this person is this. Instead of it being factions, like uniting the clans, like you have somebody over here, you get something over there, you get something over here, you get something over there.
Yep.
You have it all in one place. So like maybe the first place winner gets 10 points, second place gets 9, 8, and so on. And then you have another match, and you do it in major areas that you're going to draw attention and you're going to draw the ability to kind of pull people in a little bit, because it's not really a spectator sport, but you can make it like a little bit like a carnival, right? Like a carnival-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
And say, we want to get, if you went around in the industry and you said, we want to get as many companies to come out, we'll give you space at the parking lot, set up a RV, set up a tent, sell what you want, whatever. Make it fun. I guarantee you'd have a home run. And keep it small.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be big. 5 matches. 4 matches. You put up 10,000 or 15 grand or whatever each match, which isn't a whole hell of a lot of money to raise across this industry. You know that. And you're able to have a rimfire category, a production category, a carry optics category, and maybe a 3-gun category. Just to pick thing.
No, I totally agree.
And you were able to get the score, and you were able to tell a storyline and do it right, produce it right.
Yep.
And then you put it behind a paywall for $10.
Oh, yeah.
I'd pay for that. Would you?
I'd pay for it.
The problem is you can't do it. You can't slice the pie 50 ways. You can't slice it 50 ways. You have to keep it simple in the beginning. And it's going to upset people because you can't have an under 21 winner, low lady, medium lady, high lady. You can't, you know what I mean? You have to have it simple.
Yeah.
And then if it's successful and it brings in money and the streaming portal works and you add more content to it, but think about think about what you could film on the range, the storylines, everything that you could air in separate episodes and everything else and put out there, and how successful that could be.
Yeah. Well, because for me, it's not even totally all about the shooting. It's like the funny stories you hear
100%.
while you're waiting. Like,
Yep.
I think people would like to see that. I mean, I would watch that personally. But just getting to know everyone
And
better.
you guys know media enough, and you know how a cell phone works. How hard do you think that is to do?
Not very hard.
No.
It's a shame. It really is one of the travesties of the gun industry.
Yeah.
In so many ways. It's a shame. And I think you'd get companies, if you did it small and you did it right, focused, 4 matches, 5 matches, and did them in areas where you can bring a lot of people together. I think you get people to jump all over it, especially this year where there's no shows.
Yeah.
Right around when summer hits, you did a little sprint for the cup, and you had 15 grand a match or 20 grand a match. Everybody come out for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, the solution's so simple.
I just think we're stuck in a way that we've been for so long now that we just, people are wanting to stick with that and not explore new things.
I need $1 million, Kolby, and I need a team of like 5 people, and I'd be able to do it. I believe that, because it's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard. If you have the right production crew, I got a media guy right over here. I mean, how hard is it to put this? It's not hard. It's pretty straightforward. Good editor, a good team, and we could put content for days if I set up the right amount of cameras, GoPros, everything. If you set up cameras almost like confessionals, like in the real world used to have, like confessionals, how fucking awesome would that be? How awesome would that be? Yeah. I'm telling you. At each stage, imagine having like a confessional.
Yeah.
But nobody listens to me because I'm crazy, right?
Well, I think you see a lot on social media, especially in the competitive world. You always get, I can be blamed for that too, but we're always posting, we took first, we're doing great, but we don't really post like the mess ups or like the reason why we have fun on the range. I think it's
The
always
outtakes.
just, yeah, it's always, I don't want to say it's too serious, but it is almost to a point where we're taking it way too seriously and almost need to show people like how much fun it actually is instead of making it be so competitive.
Yeah, competitive shooters think they're like the best people in the whole world, like they rule the whole world, and they don't. It's like they don't realize how small that circle is.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Like,
And none of them make any money.
There's a big world out there.
And half of them don't even actually work in the gun business. That's the best part.
Yeah.
But listen, I just solved the world's problems. I just think a lot of these solutions are right there, and you can draw them up on a board, and they're pretty easy to fix because the blueprint's already there in other industries. That's why I asked the question, like what other industries you look at that, you feel we could learn from. I think fashion is one of them.
Yeah.
The fashion industry to me is a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, like the beauty industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pretty much any industry, but the gun industry. Almost like,
but we could learn a lot from fashion industry. And I used to have a lot
Yeah.
of people say to me, the fashion industry is something we have to look at because you look at the marketing of the fashion industry, it's all lifestyle based.
Yep.
It's all lifestyle based. That's why when companies we work with that have clothing lines, we love working with them because it's easy. It's a casual thing. And that's what I think the gun should be, a casual thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have your spec sheet video, but it should be a casual thing. I have a wall that sits back there. It just casually sits back there.
Yeah.
How many times on all these shows have you heard me talk about guns?
Very slim.
Very slim. It's a small. And that's not because I don't think that they're great. I don't think that the Second Amendment's great. It's just I can't pound that home all the time. It becomes monotonous. It's like seeing, the fear mongering or they're going to come take your guns. You got to go vote now.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. That has a place, but there's not enough of a movement to educate people. I asked the question earlier to Scott, you don't even see a video from any of these entities, whether it's the NRA or NSSF, that's homegrown, that's content they created, that's like a video saying, hey, this is why. Mm-hmm. We want to talk about this with you. Because everybody's so afraid to like put themselves out there. I look at people like Charlie Kirk. Like Charlie's done a great job going out into the field and he educates people.
Yeah.
He says, here's what I see. Why we don't have, all we do is repost an article. Did you see? Biden's going to take it all away. How about somebody do a video?
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
You, him. I mean, but I'm saying these entities have to step up and say we need to move to more of an offense and not be on defense all the time. They're putting the legislation on the floor. Get out now. Call. Constantly playing defense.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Listen, I want to ask you both. What do you want to be doing in the gun industry, Cheyenne, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, a year from now? What do you want to see it be for you personally? Do you want to be able to make a living in it? Do you think that that's a possibility?
I do think that being able to make a living off of, I don't know, kind of, I hate to use the word influencer, but that kind of side of things would be possible. But I feel like the industry is going to have to expand and change for that to happen. Otherwise, I don't think for me that is possible. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think that it will and it should.
Yeah.
Is the short. What about you?
The competitive thing, I mean, I've been doing it for a while now. I mean, same with Cheyenne. But I know I'm never going to make a living doing competitive shooting unless I really take it to the next level. So, like, been doing machining stuff, and I enjoy doing that. And I know I can have the competitive stuff still as a hobby and still enjoy it, but I have other interests like machining and doing that stuff and designing. I really enjoy that, and I would rather do that than and keep competitive shooting as a hobby.
I think there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be, and that's why I keep coming back to it. I think there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to make a living doing this. And I don't think it's necessarily influencer. I know influencer gets a dirty word. It's not influencer or ambassador based.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of being a face of a brand or being able to be a true, like, you guys are in a unique position with Scott because you have the ability to kind of do that. Some people it's a lot harder. But I think being the face of a brand or representing a brand proudly and being able to talk about that and being able to talk about what that means to you is something that's incredibly important to the companies. He recognized that not a lot of brands do. And I think the hard part is in this industry, you have too many people jockeying around, trying too hard to cut everybody's throat, trying to be the man. Everybody's trying to be something, but they're all chasing around the same thing. And there's no money at the end of the rainbow, which I find the funniest thing is the funniest part of it all.
Yeah.
Everybody's running around trying to slice everybody's throat for a pot of gold that isn't there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they do that and then they just get burned out and
leave.
That's it.
And they just leave, Well, they end up running a meme page, which is always funny because you figure out who they all are.
Yeah.
But I think the industry suffered because there's a lot of people that they're quote unquote marketing directors. Everybody's a marketing director. Everybody knows everything about marketing, but they don't know anything about content or content creation and what actually goes into that and what's involved and what's dynamic. The answer becomes mag dumps in a desert. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
It's what it becomes. And it's frustrating because there's more to it than that. And I think this industry would benefit greatly from your opinions and from what you guys think. Hey, listen, we can go on forever.
Yeah.
Kolby, I think you're going to have an amazing future.
Thank you.
I think you're going to do really well with Scott. I think you're in the right place. I said that to you many years ago. I think working for a manufacturer is going to be the thing for you. And I think there's a lot of more dynamic things to come. I do hope the industry listens to you. I'm going to die soon.
No, you're not.
Listen.
No, you're not.
Probably I'm going to stroke out unless somebody resuscitates me.
We'll keep your show going for you.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna be gone. So I hope you keep the message out there, and I hope you keep pushing the envelope. And as you form your opinions, I think you should stand by them because I think they're right.
Thank you.
And I think you should be willing to speak up. I think the more you speak up, the better it is. And Cheyenne, I think the world's your oyster. I really do.
Thank you.
I think you can do anything you want. You just have to figure out what it is, and you have to dive into it and slice everybody's throat and move forward and take and stack bodies and just do it all. I think there's a lot there, and I think the women, I've said it openly on the show, I think the women's market's wide open. I think it's wide open, and it's waiting for someone to come in.
Yeah.
And when you look out there, there's a lot of great dynamic women that have paved the way. But I think now that someone just has to bring it all together, and be that face of a brand and talk and articulate and tell your story. And I think once you form those firm opinions, stick by them. They're going to be what makes you. I mean that. That's what I think. You heard it here. And I think you're in the right place. I think whatever you guys do with Scott's going to be the right way to go.
Thank you.
We'll see. We'll see. What are we at for time? What am I missing? Oh, wow. Where the hell? Wow. Where the fuck did the time go? I want to ask one more thing, though. I did forget. If you could work with one brand you don't work with, pie in the sky. It doesn't have to be in the gun industry. Who would it be? I'm curious what tickles your fancy. Go ahead, Kolby.
Oh, boy.
I already hit the lottery. I work with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. What about you? This will tell me a lot about how dynamic you want to be.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of hard, at least for me right now, figuring out where I want to be in the next couple of years. But with my hobbies, I got hunting, shooting, fishing, pretty much anything outdoors.
Yeah.
But I've really thought about doing something fishing. So partnering
awesome.
up with a fishing company and, trying that and doing that. I don't know.
I had a moment in fitness. 3 years.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
But the thing, after shooting for so long, I've noticed obviously there's no money to be made in it unless, you're Max or JJ. But I don't know. And there's no money to be made with competitive shooting. Go to matches, you win. You don't really win any money. But I noticed, and I enjoy fishing. There's a lot of money to be made in fishing.
There is.
The competitive bass fishing.
I've had Jimmy Houston on the show.
It's crazy.
I know a thing or two. Cheyenne?
Um,
Well, and it can be like what you'd like to see come into the, it can be what you'd like. It can be pie in the sky, but
right. I guess for me, I really do love makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I also have been really enjoying video games lately. And make fun of me. I really love playing Fortnite. Okay, that is
I don't know why you're not streaming that.
I know. I'm a failure, but I'm working on it.
I don't think that makes you a failure. I'm not ready to go there. No. I don't think that makes you a failure.
But anyway, I love doing that stuff.
I think you just need a webcam. That's a $50 thing. I don't think I'll mail you one. I don't think that's a failure. I'll give you a GoPro. I don't think that's a failure. I think you should stream it though because it would be a cool experiment. And I think if you experiment with it, I think it'll open a lot of doors. A lot of things start with an experiment.
Right. Yeah, I love outdoor stuff too, kind of like what Kolby was talking about. I don't know. I really enjoy so many things that are not related at all. I also play music. I have my bluegrass band, so that's just a whole nother thing. I feel like I really enjoy things that are totally not connected in any way, and I have to figure out kind of how to connect them.
Yeah.
Well, I think the music shit's amazing because I can't build a birdhouse. So I think anything artistic like that on that level is amazing. But my brain just works in a different way. I don't think music's the path for me. But I think for you, I think the streaming is intriguing. The makeup's an easy one. Everybody's already posting that shit.
Yeah.
And putting that stuff out. True. It's already being done. If I see Michelle post one more time, her makeup artist or she's that's an easy one because we're in a vanity space. Media is a vanity play. So makeup is an easy one. But I think the streaming, especially Fortnite, I'm bullish on that. I think that there's a lot of space in that realm. And I think streaming your play and even putting the camera on you opens up a whole nother thing. And I'll give you both the advice I gave Tony, Real World Tactical, not long ago, and he'll swear to this, and I gave it to other people. You eventually have to open up another platform, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, or both. And they're both kind of in the same vein. But you have to you can't fight a war on one front. To win over people and bring them over to your cause, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, to build your audience, you have to be willing to forge into a couple of areas.
I agree.
You know, you might do really well on Twitter. You don't know. You have to find those mediums. You know, you might do really well on YouTube. YouTube's a natural one, but I think Twitch is an interesting space that I'm very bullish on in the gun industry. I think you should do it. I think you're fucking crazy. You should. It doesn't make you a failure. I just think you need a webcam and a good Wi-Fi signal.
I don't have that.
Yeah, that might be a problem. Go. You can hardline in, right? I mean, I think you can do that.
Probably.
You're gonna have to, especially you're in the sticks.
Literally.
I'm way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you keep the band thing separate. I don't know. I think the band thing you keep a little separate.
Okay.
For now. We'll see. Did we cover everything? I think we're good.
Cool.
I think we're good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Listen, I want to thank the sponsors. I want to thank Full Quartz and Firearms, Right On Optics, Gallo Technologies, Rhino Metals, Galco Leather Holsters. I'm missing somebody. Manscaped, Blackwater Ammunition. Go to the website, www.johnbartoloshow.com. Check out all the other sponsors, everybody that supports the show. Leave reviews. Go check out Kolby and Cheyenne. I'll put the links down below. Appreciate everyone. Rory, take us out.